In the last video of this series, we'll be taking a look at how we can read from a Mongo database through Unity. Now, in our previous videos, we set up the MongoDB drivers to be included. And now all we have to do is actually just implement a method to read from this. And a lot of the MongoDB is a lot is the same right away for the way we work with the differences between the console app and Unity. They're pretty identical. So we'll create a method called read Mongo database. And then just above our start, I'm going to implement this method, void read Mongo database. Now, when we're reading from a Mongo database, what we need to do is we need to create a client, a Mongo client again, coming from the mongo.db.driver namespace. Create a new instance of this, and we're going to need to pass it in a Mongo URL. I'm going to go grab the same URL that we've been using before, and we'll use that in this example here too. And with the client now, what I can do is I'm going to get the database, get the collection specifically for a name. I'm going to just hard code our name at this point right here, just as the example. Again, when you're doing any manipulation, you don't want to hard code anything. You want to gather information from the user. And then I'm going to display that single user to the console. So we'll say var db is equal to client, get the database, and we need to provide the name. Now we'll want to get the collection. And that comes from our type that we've already created in the previous videos, the high score. So it knows how to, again, to create high score object based off of the class, which is a BISON, a JSON. And we're going to pull that from the high scores table, or collection, I should say. We'll do a find, and in this case, we're going to just find one user, where the user's username is equal to Bob. Bob should be inside of our list. And then this is a collection of all. This is what this one is returning for us. So I want to do if the collection count documents is greater than 0. This is going to tell me, did it find at least one? That means that one does exist, one Bob exists. So now I can grab that single one from the list. And single is just going to grab the very first one, remember. So if there's more than one Bob, then we'll get multiple. And we can now just debug this, or debug output this to the console. I'm going to use a line from above here. And that will be the high score ID, high score username, and then the high score score. Okay. So this is all we really need. A lot of it is very similar. In this case here, I'm just doing a different way of getting a single user from the document. And you could use the same method here if you wanted to grab one and then just update one specifically. And the update is identical to what we were doing inside of the console.net app. Let's go back over to Unity and run our application. And after we enter play mode, we can see we have the 3 outputs, which was part of our MySQLite database, and then the bottom one here, which shows us our GUID ID for Bob, Bob's name, and Bob's score. So hopefully throughout this series, you've been able to see how we can read, write to databases in the MongoDB in both the C#.NET framework and in Unity. Databases are very helpful for us for quick storage access instead of having to load up data into memory, and is also a great way just to store analytics and information inside of your applications.